All right, so we're on the favorite lesson for me, I guess. I don't know about you. Is
I
it your
like it.
favorite lesson?
It's not my favorite, but I like it.
Okay, and I'll have you give the title this time.
Logging off.
Why, why logging off?
We need to apply some of this new covenant to our lives, how it manifests itself, and how we can be better disciples of Christ. And logging off deals with that. It deals with setting aside busyness, breathless busyness. And when I mean breathless, I mean spiritless busyness for the sake of being filled, for the sake of God, for the sake of nurturing that relationship with God. And we can get so distracted in this culture today that
With
that's
Or
non-existent.
electronic and technology. I love technology. That's what I do.
I love it too, actually. I've got my phone. I can't go very far without this thing. But the TV, screen time, phones, iPads, all that stuff, it's really taken over. And I don't think that electronics or technology itself is bad and intrinsically bad. I think that what we do with it can be bad. So it's really us having to be changed in order for us to rightly control and use properly our technology, our electronics, our devices, those most distracting yet entertaining things. So that's the point here in this lesson is need to log off.
So the real place we need to start that process of turning off is inside our heart, because the technology is a channel. A good can go in it and bad, and
Nothing wrong with it. It's a condition of the mind. It's really conditioning your mind to use it for good purposes, for righteousness, and not
it starts there. I should log off in my heart, in my mind.
Yeah, before you start to log off here, because you can just will it and do it and log off and close down your computer or whatever, but you'll be right back to it if you don't intentionally say, I need to do less with this.
Right.
You know, I still want everybody to know and you to know that it's not bad. Technology is not the devil. It's not a demon in and of itself. It just can be used. I have too. I have too, and it's not that. It's actually very good, and I would be willing to bet, if I was still a gambling man, that the Apostle Paul and the disciples and the other apostles would have used technology to spread the gospel rather than sail on ships that took forever to get somewhere. You know, and we can take advantage of that as well, but we have to use and not misuse it. There's a principle there that I get from Scripture, 1 Corinthians 7, when Paul talks at the end about believing that the end of the world was coming, and he believed that the return of Christ was coming, and he would say we should act as though it's coming, and use this world, but don't misuse it, he says. And he's talking about in a little different context, but I think you can still extract the principle and apply it to something like this. The reason I pick out technology and electronics is that it's probably the most distracting thing in our culture today. The thing that takes us away from tasks or from family or from interfacing with an individual like this. We do it all on electronics, and we can lose some by doing that too much, and I just want us to be careful. Again, it's an attitude. It takes intentionality inwardly before you'll really do it with the right intentions outwardly. But still, we need to be aware that it can be a very real problem.
And you listed a few good ways, man, of what you can and should use technology.
Yeah, ministering the gospel, holding Bible studies, reaching out, communication with people, positive communication, that is. I mean, there are several great ways to use technology.
How does this apply to marriages?
Well, when I come home and I know that my wife and I have been distant, let's say for a few days because we've been busy, we need to kind of log off, I guess, from whatever that was keeping us from each other, because that marriage is of utmost importance. That's the one thing I'm covenanted to besides God for life, you know, and so that needs to take precedence.
Yeah, can we call it us time?
Us time. block everything out, log off. Yeah.
Log off everything else, and we log on to us, and that's it.
Yeah.
So it's great.
Excellent.
All 13 lessons. It's been great, man. I think we have learned more how to be a disciple. But from you, the author, just express the key things you want people to take away from these lessons. And at the end of this quarter, what is next now?
Sure. I want people to take away from this, first, a genuine understanding of what God is offering us in the new covenant. It is salvation, eternally, but it's also sanctification. It's a change of heart. It's a recreated person that He works miraculously from the inside, and that manifests itself outwardly. If we don't get that, I don't know how we can continue in this walk with Christ, because the intimacy wouldn't be there. We wouldn't be able to be one with Him. I want you to take away that from this, and I also want you to take away what that looks like when it's really happening in your life. You start the discipleship process. You start to be a disciple of Christ because you're in covenant with Christ. That leads to a long process of learning, being His disciple. He's the one who disciplines you and teaches you and corrects you. And so in the next quarterly, we're going to transition to what that process really looks like. We talked about what it means to be a disciple in this one and how you become a disciple. Now we're going to show you in the next quarterly some specifics about the teaching process from God to man, or from Christ to His disciple. And so we'll expound that in the next quarterly. One key source that we didn't already go through, we had these three that are sources that you can look more specifically at some of the concepts in these quarterlies by reading these and studying these. There's one more called Covenants and Blessings by Andrew Murray. That book is the one from which I pulled a lot of this basic New Covenant, Old Covenant theology, some of that language from that book, some of those thoughts. So that's a good one to look at as well.
Right, and I like Andrew Murray. Some of his stuff is free because it's so old, but yeah, it's good. It's good. So I thank you very much, David Ross, Dr. Ross, huh?
Mr. Grant, almost Dr. Grant.
Almost doctor. Okay, I'll take that.
Don't put that in there.
I won't punish myself, doctor.
It's been good, Kurt.
Yes.
It's always good to see you, man.
Always.